I am about to tell you something that you will never forget. Yesterday, in a quiet little cafe, I witnessed something that revealed the reason why most men remain invisible to women throughout their entire lives. There was a man, maybe 25 years old, good-looking, well-dressed, entirely focused on the girl sitting across from him. I observed him for 37 minutes straight, and in those moments, I saw him try and fail with every single move he made. The most shocking part of this was that he genuinely believed he was doing everything right. That, my friend, is the problem. You see, this man's experience is not unique. It's a reflection of how 99% of men approach relationships with women. They act out a script they believe will work, never realizing their minds have been programmed to lose. What's worse, they don't even know they're doing it. This is the mindset most men carry, and it's the reason they struggle to connect with women. But today, I'm going to show you how to rewrite that code, to change how you approach women, but be warned, most men won't have the courage to do it. They'll continue on their path of self-doubt, convinced their situation is unique, convinced they deserve a different outcome. But it doesn't matter how kind you are, how well you dress, or how often you make her laugh. If your mindset is wrong, everything else is irrelevant. Think about it like this: trying to run Windows software on a Mac. No matter how brilliant the program is, it will never work because it's not compatible. That's you every time you deal with women when you approach them with the wrong mindset. Let me ask you something. How many times have you had a fantastic conversation with a woman? Everything felt perfect. And then, out of nowhere, she disappeared. How many times have you followed the rules, been the ideal man, done everything by the book, only to watch her choose someone who didn't even try? This isn't bad luck. This isn't destiny. It's mathematics. It's psychology. It's playing a game without knowing the rules. I remember when I was 20, and I discovered a brutal truth, one that changed everything for me. I was at a party, standing quietly in the corner, wearing my best shirt, practicing perfect manners, trying to be as invisible as possible, like a ghost. And then there was Alex. Alex wasn't handsome. He was broke. He dressed like he had stolen his clothes from someone sleeping on the street. Yet 3 women were fighting for his attention while I stood there, dumbfounded, wondering, what the hell is going on? That night, I witnessed something that would take me years to understand fully. The cold truth is this: women are not drawn to your resume. They are not impressed by good intentions. They are not attracted to how desperately you want their approval. In fact, the more you like them, the less they want you. It's reverse mathematics. The harder you try, the faster you fail. I know what you're thinking. It doesn't make sense, right? But that's why men fail 98% of the time. They try to rationally solve what is, in fact, an emotional game. Think about this for a second. The software running your mind was installed when you were 5 years old. Your mother told you to be nice to girls. Your teacher said, respect the ladies. Society whispers, happy wife, happy life. But none of this has anything to do with attraction. You've been trained to be exactly what women secretly don't want: a loyal golden retriever. What they truly crave is a wolf. Not a hostile wolf, not an overly aggressive one, but a wolf nonetheless. Autonomous, unpredictable, independent. Let me explain this in simpler terms. Every conversation you have with a woman is full of what I call polarity points. These are moments where you either raise or lower the emotional tension. Most men are terrified of tension. They try to smooth everything over. If she seems restless, they joke. If she challenges them, they submit. If she tests them, they try even harder to please her. They're too busy trying to win her approval, but in doing so, they forget that comfort is the enemy of desire. Think about it. When was the last time you were excited by something predictable? When was the last time a movie with no conflict kept you hooked? That's because human beings, and women in particular, are wired for emotional stimulation. They crave push and pull, ambiguity, tension, and challenge. But most men behave like an instruction manual. Page 1, I like you. Page 2, I'll do anything for you. Page 3, please choose me. And by the time they get to the conclusion, it's boring. Now, understand me clearly. I'm not telling you to be cruel. Some stupid men think that since women like excitement, they must act like jerks. But the truth is, women do not like bad men. They like men who are independent, men who own their body, their reality, their existence, and do not collapse just because a pretty face appears. Ironically, the bad boy often exhibits these qualities because he doesn't care about anything. But you can have them too without losing your decency. That's the perfect combination. Here's a practical example. Let's say you meet a woman online. She's stunning, and your instinct is to write something witty, something clever, something that proves you're unique. Here's the problem. You've already lost. Why? Because your entire approach depends on her reaction. You're not expressing yourself. You're performing. You're not speaking. You're auditioning. And she can smell it, like a shark smells blood in the water. So what do you do instead? Write something that makes you laugh. Write something that entertains you. Act as if you have 10 other options, and this is just one more conversation. That energy, that self-amusement, that groundedness, that is what breaks through the noise. That's what makes her stop and pay attention. Most men fail even when they understand this idea. They still try to fake it. They pretend not to care while secretly caring desperately inside. They feel beta but try to act alpha. But let me tell you something. Women have been watching male behavior since they were teenagers. They've seen every word, every trick, every move men make. They are authentic by nature, and their radar is sharper than a lie detector. You can't fake it. You must become it. Let me share a story. About 3 years ago, I met a woman. The kind that makes you reorganize your entire day just for the chance to see her again. We were talking. Everything was flowing perfectly until she said something I strongly disagreed with. The old me would have nodded along, smiled, and stayed polite. But this time, I looked her in the eye and said, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard all day." I followed up with, "This morning I spoke to my neighbor. She believes birds are government spies." She looked at me in shock. Then she laughed. Then she leaned in with curiosity. Why? Because every other man had agreed with everything she said. I was the first one to treat her like a normal human being instead of a goddess on a pedestal. You see, when you elevate a woman too high, you force her to look down on you. It's physics. It's geometry. She can't respect someone who worships her because worship creates inequality. And women can't feel attraction without challenge. It's biological, just like you can't feel desire for someone you're not physically drawn to. She can't feel desire for someone who has erased all tension. And here's the biggest mistake men make. They think attraction is addition. Add more compliments, add more dates, add more attention, add more availability. But attraction is subtraction. Subtract your constant presence. Subtract your need for instant replies, because the space you create is where desire begins. The empty space is what pulls her in. Think about your phone right now. If someone always replies instantly, is always available, always saying yes, how valuable are their messages to you? Not valuable at all. Because what's always accessible is worthless. It's pure economics, supply and demand. You flooded the market with yourself. You killed the scarcity. But when someone replies sometimes, disappears other times, shows interest one moment and withdraws the next, suddenly you're staring at your phone wondering, what are they doing? Why haven't they answered? What's going on in their world? That's the position you must be in, not the other way around. And here's what will happen to most men watching this. They will agree with everything I've just said. It will all make perfect sense. They will take notes, nod along, and promise themselves they'll do things differently. But when they wake up tomorrow, their old programming will kick back in. The nice guy protocol will activate. They will go back to doing what they've always done, because changing this requires more than understanding. It requires practice, failure. It requires reconditioning. I know this because I went through it myself. When I first started interacting with women, I failed spectacularly. I overcorrected. I went from being too nice to being completely indifferent. I went from being too available to disappearing completely. I went from being too polite to being unnecessarily confrontational. It probably took me 100 interactions before I found balance. But here's what I discovered. Even my mistakes were more attractive than my old perfect behavior. Even while I was stumbling, even while I was getting it wrong, women were more interested in me than when I was playing the nice guy role. Everything shifted. You want to know when I finally understood this? I was on a date with a stunning woman, the kind that makes other men stop and stare. And halfway through the date, I realized something. I was bored. She was beautiful, but she wasn't interesting. Instead of pretending, instead of faking enthusiasm just because she was attractive, I told her, "You're gorgeous, but this conversation is putting me to sleep. I'm going home. Netflix will be more interesting." And I left. Do you know what happened? She called me that night. The next day, this woman, who had men chasing her for years, was suddenly chasing me. Not because I used a technique, not because I played some game, but because I genuinely valued my time and my attention more than her beauty. That is the real power. That is the real frame. Most men don't understand this. It's not about being cruel. It's not about being dismissive. It's about having standards that go beyond physical beauty. It's about being truly ready to walk away if those standards aren't met. Most men only have one standard. Is she attractive? That's like buying a car only because it looks nice without ever checking if the engine works. You're setting yourself up for disaster. Let me explain what really happens inside a woman's mind when she meets a nice guy. He's sweet. He compliments her. He agrees with everything she says. He tries to impress her, and unconsciously she concludes, "This man is beneath me. He needs me more than I need him. He's safe and therefore boring. He's forgettable." But a man who understands he is not overly eager, who is friendly but teases her, who sometimes is available and sometimes not, who disapproves when he needs to, who is more concerned with entertaining himself than impressing her. That man is on her level or above it. He has options. He is unpredictable. He is intriguing. He is unforgettable. Do you see the difference? This isn't about acting foolish. It's about being a man with a life of his own. A man with his own thoughts, his own standards, and an identity strong enough to hold the moment together when a beautiful woman appears. Now, let's talk about one of the most feared topics among men: the friend zone. Every man fears it, but very few understand why it exists. Women place men in the friend zone when they feel no romantic respect for them. And how do you end up in the friend zone? By acting like a friend when you actually want to be a lover. You earn your place in the friend zone by being nice, always available, and completely desexualized. You pretend from day one, hiding your desire behind fake friendship, and then, months later, you confess your feelings. And every time, you get rejected. You say, "But I was so nice to her." Exactly. That was the problem. You were nice, but you were not attractive. You were not sexual. You were not emotionally charged. You were like a brother, a girlfriend, a pet. And being rude isn't the solution. The solution is to be attractive first, then be nice. Take the lead. Bring vitality into the interaction. Use compassion like a spice, not as the main dish. Be sexual, but never creepy. Be confident, but never arrogant. Be a challenge, but not impossible. This is a balance, but it can be learned. Here's a practical exercise. Next time you text a woman, pause before hitting send. Ask yourself, am I sending this to get a reaction from her, or am I sending this because it entertains me? If it's the first, delete it. If it's the second, send it. This one simple filter will change the entire dynamic of your communication. Here's another practice. Disagree. Not with everything, not just to be difficult, but when you truly disagree, say it. No, I don't think so. That movie was awful. I see it differently. Start with small things. Instead of mirroring the opinions you think she wants to hear, express what you truly believe. And here's what will surprise you. The more politely you disagree, the more intrigued she becomes. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows you don't need her. It shows acceptance. It shows that you see her as an equal human being whose opinion can be wrong, not as a goddess whose words are sacred scripture. I remember a conversation from about a year ago. A girl told me she believed in astrology. The old me would have said, "Oh, that's cool. Tell me more." But instead I said, "Astrology is just organized birthday racism." She paused. Then she laughed. And then she spent the next hour trying to convince me otherwise. And we had a real dialogue with real energy, instead of me just nodding silently while she talked. That's the difference. But here's the real secret, the piece that changes everything. You must become a man who does not need a woman's approval. Don't act like that man. Become that man. How? By building a life that is genuinely fascinating. Have hobbies that fulfill you. Have goals that wake you up in the morning. Set rules that actually matter to you. When your life is full, when you're truly busy with things that are important to you, when you have real options, you stop trying to play hard to get. You are hard to get. You stop pretending to have standards. You actually have them. You stop faking confidence. You feel it because your life has given you a reason to be confident. Most men try to recruit women to fill the emptiness in their existence. And women can sense this emptiness the way animals sense earthquakes. They know, consciously or not, that you're using them as emotional crutches, as validation devices, as proof that you are worthy. And that pressure is too heavy. That responsibility is too much. So they run. Your life must be full. A woman should be a complement, not a necessity. She should be the cherry on top, not the entire cake. Because if she is your whole cake, what happens when she leaves? You are empty again. You are shattered again. And you are desperate again. Think of the men who are naturally magnetic to women. They're not always the richest, not always the best looking, but almost all of them are men whose lives are full even without women. They have jobs, they have passions, they have friends, they have goals. Women are a part of their lives, not the center of them. And that is what makes them magnetic. That is what makes them attractive. That is what you must become. Now, let's talk about the moment of truth. Whether in person or online, most men show up with the energy of a job interview. Please choose me. Here are my credentials. Stop showing up like a man begging to be chosen. Show up like a man who is offering an opportunity. I am fascinating. I am entertaining. If you are worthy, I may allow you into my life. Do you see the shift? It's not arrogance. It's not narcissism. It's simply knowing your value. Believing that your time and your attention are important. If you don't believe that, why should she? This change in perspective transformed my life completely. Stop thinking about getting women. Start thinking about choosing women. You are not trying to earn the approval of every woman you meet. You are screening for women who meet your standards. This changes everything: your energy, your method, your entire dynamic. When you are the one choosing, rejection doesn't hurt. It's not personal. It's simply selection. She chose herself. Good. She saved you time. Move on. But when you're chasing, every rejection feels like failure. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. For years, I tried to persuade women to want me, performing, convincing, impressing until I was exhausted. Then I switched to choosing. Is she interesting? Does she fit my lifestyle? Does she add value beyond her looks? Suddenly, I had standards. Suddenly, I was the prize. Suddenly, everything shifted. But here's the part no one tells you. At the beginning, this path is lonely. When you stop seeking approval, when you stop being nice just to gain favor, you will lose people. The women who fed on your attention without giving anything back will vanish. The friends who loved your self-sacrifice will be confused. Your family might say you've become selfish. Good. Let them be confused. Let them talk. Because on the other side of this short, lonely season is something far better. Genuine attraction, real connection. Women who choose you for who you are, not for what you do for them. Do you know what's tragic? Men in their 40s and 50s still running the same program they learned at 15, still trying to be nice as a strategy for attraction, and still wondering why they fail. Do not become that man. Make the change now. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's terrifying. But it's more terrifying to stay the same. It's more terrifying to die with regret. Everything I'm telling you is true. It's simple, but not easy. Simple because the ideas are clear. Not easy because you must reprogram decades of conditioning. Not easy because you must face rejection. Not easy because you must become someone new. And the world will resist it. Your friends will resist it. Your old self will resist it. But here's my promise to you. If you truly do this, if you change your perspective, if you practice what I've taught you, your entire world will change. Not just with women, but in every area of life. Because the confidence that comes from no longer needing validation, the strength that comes from having standards, the freedom that comes from being genuine, These things transform everything. This is your assignment. But here's the truth. 98% of men will never do it. And 98% will stay exactly where they are for the next 30 days, the next 30 years. Be the 2%. Practice one thing. Detach from the result. Approach women without clinging to the outcome. Do this and watch your entire reality change. Send messages that carry no need. Go on dates with no urgency. Just practice being present, being genuine, being satisfied with who you are. That's it. That's the key. That's the missing piece. That's what separates the 2% from everyone else. No magic lines, no tricks, no techniques. Just the ability to stand as yourself, alone, and let women decide whether they want to join your world instead of you desperately trying to join theirs. Listen, I understand. This video has probably shattered everything you were taught to believe. Good. It should, because everything you've been taught has brought you here to a place you no longer want to be. So, the question is simple. Will you keep doing what has never worked? Or will you finally try something different? You have a choice. Scarlet button or blue button? Old results or new opportunities? Comfort or expansion? And deep down, you already know which one you will choose. You knew it before this video even ended. The only question is, when will you stop lying to yourself and finally act? That's all I have for you today. Take it or reject it. Use it or ignore it. But never say that no one told you the truth. Because now, you can't escape it. Now you know. Now let's really dig into what happens when you stop following the script and start living with intention and self-respect. The moment you begin to stop playing the nice guy role and adopt the mindset of someone who doesn't need approval, everything changes. This shift isn't just about how you interact with women, but how you approach all of life's relationships. You stop trying to impress others or gain validation from the outside world. You stop feeling like you need someone to complete you or prove your worth. You are enough just as you are. This, however, is where most men struggle. Society has conditioned us to seek external validation from others, especially women. We've been taught that if we're kind, considerate, and obedient, we'll be rewarded with love and affection. And while kindness is important, it is not the key to attracting women. The key to attraction is self-sufficiency, confidence, and not being afraid to walk away if the situation doesn't align with your standards. Let me tell you something that might sound harsh. Women don't care about how much you like them. They care about how much you respect yourself. When you place them on a pedestal and give them all your attention, what you're really telling them is that you have no life outside of them. That you are so desperate for their approval that you'll abandon your needs, desires, and even your values to win them over. And believe me, they can sense that from a mile away. Women are hyper-aware of how much emotional energy you're investing in them, and if they sense you're trying to win them over out of need, it will never lead to lasting attraction. This is where you have to realize the importance of balance. Attraction is not about giving more of yourself to the woman. It's about holding something back. It's about creating mystery and tension. And it's about making her chase you a little bit. The more she feels like she has to work for your attention, the more desirable you become. The key is to stop being readily available all the time and instead become someone who has a life full of his own passions, goals, and ambitions. The more you have, the more you're in demand. Here's where many men go wrong. thinking that pulling back is about playing games or being manipulative. No, it's about becoming